Thank you very much. Neil Kitching, Scottish Enterprise. I work as an energy specialist in heat and water technologies. The photograph there I'd like to put up at the start. It's really the showcase in Scotland, Queen's Quay water source heat pump, taking water from the Clyde and feeding into quite a large heat network. If you ever get a chance to go and visit, do so. So today I'm going to talk about what is Scottish Enterprise, why do we think heat is a transformational opportunity, what is Scottish Enterprise doing to support the heat sector, and then perhaps more interestingly, how do we maximise Scottish content in this, and how can we use innovation as part of this growth. So who are Scottish Enterprise? We are one of the 3 economic development agencies within Scotland. We have 3 main focuses, really to support companies through helping them with innovation, helping them with their investment needs, and helping them with internationalisation and exports. Underpinning that, we have 2 key themes of fair work and net zero. And we've quite recently developed 7 national programmes. So a lot of our work is now focused around one of these 7 programmes, and one of these, of course, is decarbonising heat, which is what I'm here to talk about today. And what can Scottish Enterprise do to support companies? I guess the main thing is help you with access to specialists. And I've listed the specialisms in the blue bubble there. We can help companies with their investment needs. We can provide market research on your behalf. For select companies that are growing really fast, we can provide much more dedicated hands-on account management services. On our website, we have a funding database, which has information on hundreds of grants, loans, and innovations from across the world. And we also have our sister organisation, Scottish Development International, which helps around exports and inward investment. So decarbonising heat, I said it's one of the 7 national programmes. It's a slightly unusual one. It's a policy-led opportunity. And by policy, I mean European policy, UK government policy, and of course, Scottish government policy. I won't go through all of these today, but the direction of travel is very clear. We are heading towards massive decarbonisation of our built environment. And the key document, Scottish Government document, is their heat and building strategy. And again, I won't dwell on it today, but it really shows massive growth. Patrick Harvey mentioned 1 million homes to be converted by 2030. So the market opportunity is huge. The graph on the right shows global heat pump sales cumulative. So under 200 million today, but forecast to be over 600 million by the end of this decade. So that's an enormous growth. And it also applies to heat networks. The graph on the left shows the planned increase in heat networks within Scotland. So what's actually happening in practice? This is a graph of renewable heat installations that have actually taken place in Scotland. And you could see about 10 years ago, the orange line, there was a big increase in biomass installations driven by the renewable heat incentive. That is now levelled off, and in recent years it's air source heat pumps that have been increasing. There's currently 16,000 air source heat pumps installed in Scotland, and we expect that number to soar over the coming years. So we commissioned Ramble to do some research around the size of this market opportunity. So to achieve the 6 terawatt hours heat network target by 2030 will require more than £5 billion of expenditure. And the 2 main components of that are insulated pipes and smart control systems. And for heat pumps, over £3 billion of expenditure up to 2030. And 2 main components there are the compressors and also, again, smart control systems. So these are fast-growing markets. So just standing back from that and having a little think about it, £3 billion expenditure on heat pumps, £5 billion in heat networks. It's fantastic that we have this new Energy Efficiency Contractors Framework worth around 800 million over 4 years. But it seems to be a gap to me And so a plea for Scottish Excel, perhaps to think about developing a new framework for heat networks and district heating. I do understand it's complicated contractual and technical requirements, but we don't want every housing association, every council to reinvent the wheel. And of course, there's a lot of funding available from the Scottish Government, 1.8 billion committed over this Parliament. Perhaps the most interesting component of that is the Heat Network Fund, £300 million to support shovel-ready heat network projects. That grant is now available and live. And smart-eyed amongst you will notice that 0% in there in the second bullet should say 50%. So what's Scottish Enterprise doing? I said we have this Decarbonising Heat National Programme. There's three main themes to that. The first one is creating a cluster builder, and I'll talk about that in the subsequent slides. Second one is a proposal to develop a heat hub. So that would be to position Scotland as a leading manufacturer of low-carbon heat solutions, really bringing the industry together to work more collaboratively. And thirdly, we obviously want to do more direct support to companies within the sector. And Scottish Enterprise's overall aim here is to maximise economic benefits to Scotland from this huge opportunity. So, I mentioned this cluster builder. We've appointed we've appointed BEST, Built Environment Smarter Transformation, to run a contract for us for 3 years. We've called this Heat Source. It's delivering activity right across Scotland, and it was launched very recently, 2 weeks ago, at All Energy. It's there to provide a voice for the sector. We don't think the heat sector is very well integrated and connected within Scotland at the moment. It will signpost you to further support, training and services. We will be running events and webinars. We're going to create a matchmaking platform where companies can post ideas, problems, and other companies can suggest solutions. There'll be case studies and best practice. There'll be a chance to have one-to-one follow-up meetings. And who's it for? It's really for everybody. I think everybody in this room, anybody who has an interest in retrofit and heat. So you can sign up to their monthly newsletter at heatsource.org. You can follow them on social media. And there's going to be a launch webinar on the 14th of June. So please sign up for that as well. So another thing Scottish Enterprise has done, we've published a supply chain directory. You can find that if you Google Scottish Industry Directory. There's 367 companies on the directory, so for the people at the back of the room, please check whether you're on the directory and whether your entry is accurate and up to date. It's there to be used by everybody, for suppliers to find other suppliers, for buyers to find just contacts. It's there to be used, so please have a look at the Scottish Industry Directory. It covers heat, but also there's quite a few companies on there in the smart controls and energy efficiency as well. Scottish Enterprise has also commissioned some research work. They're all on our website. Two I thought might be of interest to this audience. One was by Ramble, looking at the potential for Scotland to be a leader in fifth-generation district heating. So fourth-generation district heating is using warmish water at about 50 degrees centigrade and pumping that through heat networks into buildings. Fifth generation is very different. That's pumping ambient heat, maybe less than 20 degrees centigrade, into homes so that the pipes don't need to be insulated. It can use waste heat, so it could be heat that's just slightly warm but not too warm, and then with individual heat pumps and individual properties. So there's a bit of a debate going on just now as to which is the most efficient, and I think that's going to depend on location to location. We've also done a report on the innovation needs for the heat sector, and that was done by BRC. A few things under development. We're developing a multi-million-pound low-carbon heat innovation programme. We're going to be launching a low-carbon heat accelerator, and that'll be for a small number of SMEs who are really strongly wanting to grow and grow fast and want to network with their colleagues and peers. There's going to be some European funding. We are still eligible, believe it or not, to apply for many European funds. So that will be launched soon around heat calls. And we want to do further work to support the supply chain. So I mentioned innovation there. Last year, Scottish Enterprise ran a Can-Do Innovation Challenge. And one I think might be of interest today, Renfrewshire Council put out a challenge on how to improve property maintenance in their council properties. So IOPT secured a £1 million contract and got a £150,000 R&D grant. And they installed monitors to measure humidity with alerts for ventilation and dampness. So that's improved the comfort for the tenants and provides lower maintenance cost for the landlord. So that was a good example of an innovation call. We're working up new retrofit innovation challenges. So if you're interested, please contact my colleague, and his email address is there. So a couple of slides about maximising Scottish content, and I'll start with ScotWind leasing, because I think that's most relevant, the most interesting example to date. So 17 projects have been awarded with up to £70 billion of expenditure. This is a huge project. As part of the bids, developers had to provide supply chain development statements. They weren't part of the bid scoring, but they have encouraged the developers to engage with suppliers early on. And if you add these up, over £25 billion has been promised, committed to Scottish suppliers already, with a potential £10 billion further under the higher ambition targets. And many of the bids mention partnerships with colleges and skills, which is really good about training people up as well. So the Team Scotland players now need to work with the developers to ensure they achieve these commitments. And interestingly, there will be penalties in place, up to £250,000 fines if the developers don't achieve the targets they're committed to. That £250,000 may be a drop in the ocean, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. So that's live just now. These are my old slides. I thought I had updated these, but sorry. So, as I said, our aim is to maximise Scottish content. Thinking about heating, how do we do that? Well, the Scottish Government's Heat Network Fund, their bidding criteria included the potential to have a positive and significant impact on skills and supply chain in Scotland. So that's really for the first time that's been built into this funding. Again, it's not been scored. It's really just to get developers to think about it. And it's really the start of a journey to get people to engage. So my question to the audience today is, how can you maximise local and Scottish content in the work that you commission? And it's not just about the supply chain, it's about training and apprenticeships. These are all really important. We want to maximise the benefits of the billions of pounds we're going to spend locally and in Scotland. So can we work with you? Can Scottish Enterprise work with you? Can we get the buyer and the client and specifier to talk early about these opportunities? We can promote your upcoming contracts through HeatSource and through our own heat industry newsletter. As I mentioned, HeatSource can offer an online matchmaking service, so you could post opportunities on that and seek responses. And Scottish Enterprise could work with you if you have a major programme of works. We could run joint Meet the Buyer events with you. So that's me about finished. I haven't mentioned that we, Scottish Enterprise, issue a low-carbon heat newsletter. So again, please, everybody in the room here, sign up to that. The easiest way to get the link is to email me direct, and I'll forward you the link. Please check your companies on the Scottish Industry Directory, and do also sign up to www.heatsource.org. Thank you.